Yeah, for me, spirituality, I think that we can see it as, oh, it means you're meditating or you're doing yoga and doing all these like acts that makes you a spiritual person. Or maybe it's someone who like sees ghosts, or somebody who like can listen to angels, or all this like extraterrestrial or paranormal things going on. But to me, spirituality is connecting with something great, like connecting within yourself and connecting something that is beyond this physical vessel. And I feel that it's more than just us living. It's more than just seeing us living this human life by chance, and that we're just living here to live here. It's something that there's this greater purpose in life, and connecting to that source behind everything all. So for me, that's what spirituality means. It means connecting with your inner self, which means like becoming more self-aware of yourself. And the more that you can connect to your inner world, the more I feel that you can understand everything in the universe. Like when we look at how nature works in the universe, like how the planets move, or how things work at a cellular level, and see how nature acts, and we follow that wisdom, then we'll be able to understand, I feel like, the true essence of what spirituality is.
Yeah, I feel like there's some truth also in being connected or seeing sometimes ghosts or extraterrestrials. So I feel like that's also part of, it could be like a part of spirituality, but I feel like the essence is always what you said, like to be connected with your own spirit. And maybe people would say it's only like a belief system, like a religion. But it's not something you need to believe when you have the experience itself. It's so pure, and it's like a real state of your being when you're not anymore only your body or your thoughts or your identity, your ego. When you go beyond
Yeah,
into like a state of wow, I think this could survive when I will die.
for sure.
And like I had this experience where I felt like it was like a near-death experience, where I felt like wow, that's like I'm still there. Something is still there. It's consciousness.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
That's
yeah.
like I would say a spiritual world. But also in my term, I would say spirituality is connected to. Some people would say they feel emotions. They feel something in the room. Others would say I see aura, which for I know a lot of people sounds crazy, but like to be in a really high sensitive state, to feel there's something more than the logical mind can
Comprehend, or what
comprehend.
science can show us.
Yeah,
Like it's beyond science.
exactly. So yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, I think you explained that really well. And it's interesting because I love like asking this question, is that there's a part of you that is aware of your thoughts. Like if you can observe your thoughts, then it means you're not your thoughts. If you can observe your pain, then you know you're not your pain, you're not your emotions. Like who is it that is aware of all this stuff that's going on? So if you know you're not any of these things, then what are you actually? And when we connect to that essence, that is our spirit, our soul, whatever word you want to call it. And that is when we can connect that place, then I feel that that is spiritual. That's spirituality.
I really want to explain the first time in front of like other people my name about Idom, because I choose this name, and it was like I don't know actually what it means, but it felt aligned with myself. And then 1 year later, I had my first ayahuasca experience, and I asked Mother Ayahuasca, "Who am I? Who am I not? And what am I? What am I? Like, what is my true essence?" And at some point, I saw this eye just observing so many things, and I felt like, wow, like there's one thing which is like in a dominated state, and so I brought my name, the dominated, with Dominic, into my name of Idom, where I felt like this I is like the dominated personality. Like that's like for sure I'm Dominic, but like in another, I called myself Idom because I felt like, wow, that's even more real. I'm the observer. So
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it reminds me of the I am presence.
I am.
Yeah, I am that I am. That is the essence of who you are. And it's funny that your name's Idom, but your name spelled I, like EYE,
Exactly.
like I.
Yeah, but it's like, there's some truth about sound. Like it's still I, but also the I, which is observing. So it's both like the I itself, which we could say like it's I am, but also like the I, watching, just observing.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's really cool that name came to you,
Yeah.
and you didn't understand it at first.
What is your perspective, for example? I'm curious. There are so many tools today. For example, you're a life coach. Even when you maybe at some point, I think we both are connected to psychedelics. You want to work with psychedelics at some point, maybe in a therapeutic way. And actually, so I was working with plant medicine a lot, like with many different types of, and I know there's so much potential, but there's so many ways. Like there's so many ways. We have shadow work. We have, like in general, maybe life coaching, support in many ways.
Yeah.
We have music as tool. We have meditation.
Somatics.
Yeah, we have so many tools, and I'm curious what you say about. Do you feel like there is? Oh, look. Talking to plants, it's on my cup of tea. Talking to plants is one way of talking directly to spirit.
Whoa! And we were just talking about psychedelics and stuff. That's so cool.
That's crazy.
Wow, that's a synchronicity. Also, a very spiritual experience.
That's cool. Yeah, like wow, yeah, and synchronicities. That's also a nice topic. But I feel like I'm curious what, for example, if you could choose 2 or 3 things which helped you the most, and maybe to explain in what kind of experience it helped you. Could you mention some?
Yeah, the first one was my first experience with mushrooms. Up until that, I had never done psychedelics. And it was the first time where I put myself in this altered state of consciousness where I no longer was Jackie. I couldn't like have my regular thoughts. I had to like really try hard to be like, oh yeah, my name is Jackie. Like I feel like my whole identity got erased. And it sounds kind of scary maybe if you've never experienced it, but it doesn't feel scary when you're in it. You're just like, whoa, and then after the experience, I was so confused. And I was thinking, who am I really? And this experience really made me start to seek some answers about myself and about life. So I would say that was one really big experience. And that's actually the medicine I want to work with in a therapeutic environment. When I will pursue like psychotherapy, because I really am a big believer in healing through altered states of consciousness, because I feel like just our conscious mind, it's really can be challenging sometimes to really get to like the root of a lot of our traumas. So yeah, that's one of them. I feel like just being, like giving myself to just meditate and being with myself without having to move and do, and sitting with my emotions and just asking myself, like, how am I feeling in this moment? If I'm feeling sad, okay, like, do I need to cry? And like giving myself permission to cry. I feel like in our modern world, we're so busy running around, keeping ourselves busy, distracting ourselves. But when we just give ourselves time to just sit in silence and face ourselves and sit with these uncomfortable emotions, that is such a powerful way to heal and grow. So I think that's a really powerful tool that can be overlooked a lot. Is just slowing down and asking ourselves questions and checking in with ourselves and journaling and reconnecting with ourselves again.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would add there's definitely, or it can be definitely be scary for people to lose their identity in plant medicine ceremonies. Definitely can be super, super scary. But in the same time, I feel like really beautiful medicine in general, I would say maybe it's one of the most essential things is movement. And movement in a big, 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 big context, like not just moving around, even if this is like a big thing. For example, moving your body, moving by dancing, moving by singing. It's like you move energy. But also plant medicine, it brings you like maybe out of your construct. So there's so much movement, even sometimes like in a physical way that people start to move really, yeah, really strong, or they purge. So there's a lot of movement happening. And in another way, yeah, like even I think most of the tools we have, movement is happening. Like even on a psychological, in a psychological context, you need to move. You need to stretch your awareness. You need to
Yeah.
stretch. Yeah, like sometimes you need to step out for a moment to maybe to see the whole thing, but then sometimes it's really nice to be completely in, to be completely in your identity, so you can you can bring your manifestation to the world. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
it's there's I feel like it's all about movement, because when something is not moving anymore, it's dead actually. So I feel like that's actually one of the most beautiful things I channeled in the last 3 minutes.
That's
I
amazing.
never thought about this, but
Yeah,
it feels
and
really real.
yeah, yeah, that's really powerful. And it also goes back to what I was saying earlier, is that when you look at nature, like everything in the universe is moving. The planets are moving, the sun and the stars, it's all moving. The cells in our body are moving, everything's vibrating.
Yeah,
And that's how energy is created, and that's how energy moves.
yeah.
So movement is like our essence. And so, yeah.
And just see when people are not moving, like it doesn't matter in which way, like even traveling, it's a lot of movement, like it's a lot of physical movement. But like without traveling, just being in a spiral where not really much is happening, I feel like it's not only like a trap, it's like maybe kind of a movie. Which, what was this name in German? It's like Und täglich grüßt das Murmeltier. Can
I
you
wish
say
I knew what
David
that
Watt?
meant.
Where every day is like the same day actually.
Oh, Groundhog Day.
Could be, probably.
It's a movie about a guy who keeps repeating the same
Yeah,
day.
exactly,
That's Groundhog
exactly.
Day.
And it's like so like when nothing is really moving, it's dead. That's
Yeah.
like a real thing. When you don't move your body, at some point you will die. It's really like it's real. So I feel like especially in big cities, you can see just walking sometimes through streets or sitting in like a train or something. You see some people where you feel like it's like a dead person. You don't see like
Life.
life force inside of them. So it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also interesting because then it made me think about meditation, which is like just sitting in stillness. It's like stillness, the opposite of movement. But that's also really powerful medicine too. So
Because there's still your mind is still moving, and at some point I feel like stillness creates space, and space creates the like you can go more in the unknown. Like space creates this field of okay, I'm going out of my usual way. Actually, I'm in a moving state of okay, make me like a coffee, or I have my routines, maybe even yoga or meditation is your routine, but you go with the intention like to this space of not moving. So actually it creates, it's only like a tool, it's like a knife, you can use it in this way or that way, but I feel like it can it brings a lot of movement actually at the end, because it brings you more awareness and more presence.
yeah, that's
I would say.
true. Because I feel that when you're meditating, you get into very deep states of meditation. You're expanding your consciousness, which is movement outwards. And I feel like this is kind of deep, but when you're meditating, you're like moving through time and space.
Exactly.
So that's also movement. So yeah, I guess it's just a different perspective of what movement is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because I know it's really hard to hold on experiences like strong plant medicine experiences or
Yeah.
even like these blissful states of meditation. But I remember very well, I think you asked me this question, like what was the longest time you were meditating? I said like maybe 2.5 hours. But I felt like it was like I was not aware that it was 2.5 hours. It could be like 2 minutes or 2 days. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And that's so interesting because losing also this concept of our 3D reality, like going beyond time and space, which sounds really crazy for so many people. It's such a gift. And yeah, it's super nice. I don't know what I wanted to say with that.
I have a question for you actually, because we talk a lot about spirituality, and I feel like when you're on the spiritual path, it's like you just become so naturally so passionate about it, and it's so much of your like energy and time is spent your consciousness is just like seems to be very focused on that. No matter what you're doing, there's always like a spiritual perspective. Like when we were playing soccer the other day, we're like, wow, I just like had this deep spiritualization while we were playing soccer, and it's cool that it can be incorporated in anything. But the thing I want to ask you is like, now that you've been on your spiritual path for some time, what are like the biggest benefits that you've gotten from living, I guess you could say it. We're all spiritual beings, but being a conscious spiritual on your spiritual path.
I think one of the most beautiful things is I would maybe say to lose everything what you thought you are to get everything you really are, to get more whole, to remember that you were always whole, but to get this experience where you feel like, wow, it's like I think like many people write books about so much magic and so much beauty and so many crazy experiences. And I feel like there are so many benefits I can't even explain, but maybe some of them are like my body, for example, was talking to me years. I never was listening to him. And I think like even going back maybe to spirituality in general, what you said is so beautiful because you can begin with a breath. Like a breath is spirituality. Matthias said this, that comes from respirare, which means like breathing. So he said like people who breathe, who are conscious and breathing, there are spiritual people. And it's so beautiful to begin there. And yeah, we have these concepts like yoga, meditation, plant medicine, whatever, kirtan. But in the same time, eating a pizza, what we were doing, people would say it's not spiritual, it's not healthy. But what it creates inside yourself, wow, it can be so deep. Where do you feel rejection by seeing someone eating a pizza? Maybe, wow, nice shadow work for yourself, or like to see so much love in a plate, so much colors. I'm so passionate about pizzas, where I feel like it's such a spiritual practice to eat with so much love, gratitude, awareness, and it's absolutely spiritual. And at the same time, for sure, we can have blissful states, ecstatic dance moments where you feel like, wow, I don't know what is dancing through me or what is singing through me in kirtan settings. But there is another part who is, especially, I don't know, I think, like especially for myself, I want to speak, is craving for the experience as a human being, where I feel like all the things which were so like normal maybe, or so dark even, and people would say it's absolutely not spiritual to take I don't know, other kinds of drugs, or to have experiences with violence or with criminal people or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would disagree. I would say, like, well, everything can be a great teacher and can expand your consciousness and can make you to a better human being, or to like a more conscious spirit, or like the opposite. So to experience in a way, this is, wow, it's super beautiful.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought that up. And that reminds me of like this whole concept of light and dark. And I feel that it was interesting, like when we met, because before I had in the past, I had a tendency to spiritual bypass and stay in like light and love and focus on all those things, and a bit of like a fear of going into darkness and not liking it, not wanting to feel things. And I feel like you were a really great reflection for me, because you're like with shamanism, you're all about going into the dark to reach the light, and that just reminded me of what you were just explaining about how everything is spiritual, even like the very uncomfortable situations, you know, that we're in. And so, like, even when we feel that, yeah, something's like difficult or challenging, that that it's all there for a reason, you know, and that we need the wholeness of this human experience in order to evolve from this like third dimensional reality to
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
I would say also life is a big guru or a big teacher. For example, maybe a nice story. For example, even like after 70, almost 80 years, I saw my grandfather reacting in so many ways, triggered by like actually nothing, but always like in the same way reacting for like I don't know how many years. Like it's absolutely crazy that you never go like, okay, it's boring to react in the same pattern. I don't need to
Yeah,
react like that.
because they're unconscious to it.
But
They're not aware.
it's so interesting. And then on the other hand side, I was watching my grandmother. She was a beautiful teacher. She was watching like plants in the garden, and she said, "Wow, it's so beautiful. Can you see the sun? Can you see the flowers? Beautiful. I'm so happy to be alive." Something like that. And it was like, what an energy. Like we have this on the, like on my grandfather's side, we have this on my grandmother's side. And it was yeah, it was powerful teachings, because I felt like, why should I react in many ways where I felt like, okay, people react, for example, when you drive your car and like another guy is like, "Oh, motherfucker," something like that, and you also want to react because you feel like there's anger coming up. But in the same way, for what? Or why you choose every time to react the same pattern? Yeah, to learn. And I feel like that's one of the most beneficial gifts of spirituality, or the spiritual path, like to really be aware of your energy, how you spend, how you move actually, again, like that's again about movement, how you move energy, how you learn from past experiences to create actually a better future, not only for yourself, because you know that you're not like this ego identity, you're everything. So you want to be in service for something bigger. You want to be like not only like a good guy. That's, I feel like, bullshit. We have everything inside of us, but to allow yourself to be authentic. I feel like even when dark stuff is coming up, will always serve the highest good, because it's authentic. Truth is love at the end. We don't know so much about love, I feel sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great like follow-up question is, what do you believe about love?
Wow, that's a great question.
You set me up for it.
I think love is truth, and truth is love, and love is God also. Love is our essence, but it's not always what we expect because it's so raw. It's only what is now coming through me. I don't know, it makes sense, but I feel like love is so raw, and sometimes it's super painful because we are not allowing ourselves to really experience love. So there are many ways that love can come into our life. For example, in really obvious ways that we learn to love another person maybe, but also to receive love. That's a totally different experience. We can experience love in a partnership, but also just watching around us, or to watch like the sun, old people, kids, animals, nature, can actually remind yourself of true nature, beauty, for example. Many people, when they see, oh, that's a handsome guy or a beautiful woman, or wow, that's beautiful and that's not beautiful, it's actually only a reminder of beauty, of like I would say maybe sacred geometry, which is part of ourself, our nature. So in another, like I could actually say, it also wants to wake you up in a sense of reminding you of your true nature. Love is all around us in many ways, but we want to divide many things like dark and like day and night, or day and night. My favorite song. Or yeah, we would say like or maybe love embrace everything, but sometimes love is so fierceness and creates like sometimes it's, I think I told you this, maybe that's like the essence, I would say. When you love someone, most of the times you're not aware how much you love this person. But when this person dies, or when this person leaves you, then there is so much pain. And it's one thing to feel pain, but to allow yourself to feel this pain is actually one of the biggest maybe container how much you can love. And it's so incredible to feel something for another person, but in the end it's yourself. And it was always happening inside yourself. And I feel like this fullness of life, to experience love actually in all states of our life experience, that's also love. But we try to separate, like that's love, that's not love, because she was leaving me, or I lost that I don't know what. But actually, that's I think the essence, to feel you're always loved and everywhere, because it always gets better and better in so many ways when you surrender to life. When
For sure.
everything is it seems like it's happening against you, try to surrender to life and it will happen to you. Because you're fighting against yourself, you're fighting against life. But when you surrender to life, you will experience life will always happen for you. And that's love. That's, I don't know what it is, but the universe loves us. I wrote my mom today. She asked me like, how can you like what did she say? She said something like I think she was a little bit worried about me, and I said like the universe is protecting me, the universe is holding me, and she said, ah. Like it sounds so crazy. Like I would say like my I don't work in a physiotherapy clinic anymore, but I work for the universe. I want to work for the universe.
You do
But
work for the universe.
yeah, I feel like.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's like when you say the universe is holding you, the universe is protecting you, the universe is working for you. There's no separation anymore between the universe and yourself.
For sure.
So when you love, when you're surrendered to the universe, you surrender to your true essence, I would say.
Yeah, wow, that's beautiful. First, I just want to acknowledge everything you just shared about love. That was really deep and powerful just for me to listen to.
Thank you for acknowledging.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, I feel like it's such a beautiful topic because I think in our, for a lot of people, when they hear love, they think of like partnership love, you know? But I think that the most important relationship is the love we have for ourselves. And like we can only love others as deeply as we go within ourselves. And I feel like the more that we love ourselves, the more that we're sending our love to the universe also. Because yeah, like what you said, there's no separation between us and the universe. And when I use the word God or universe or love, those are all interchangeable words for me because I feel that love is what is holding the container for this. And I don't even think the universe has a container. What is moving everything in the universe? Like love is flowing through the trees, through the animals, through us. It's everywhere, and it's the highest. To me, love is the highest frequency on the planet, and it's funny because it's the thing that we yearn for the most, that we want to feel, but it's also the thing that we fear a lot. Like we're afraid to open up our hearts, and it can feel scary because love also can bring the biggest pain as well, like what you said. So it's interesting that it's like this. It's the most powerful force that can create change or create growth, you know. And it's just a matter of like staying open to life and keeping your heart open to life, and like asking yourself, what would love do now, and like, can I just surrender to that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And sometimes even love, I feel like, has something to do with love yourself enough to be fully authentic in any kind of what wants to be expressed in a way which is maybe not harmful for others, but which is still coming from a place of authenticity. Because I feel like a lot of spiritual people or gurus seem to be very relaxed and chilled, but sometimes I feel like a really nice release to set boundaries, for example, or to say like, I give you a spiritual fuck you, I don't want to talk to you, I don't want to see you in this moment, I need some space or whatever. And maybe I can still say like, I love you, but like I'm fucked up now, or I don't want to have any kind of conversation with you. Like there's not like, oh, what you said actually, like I'm love, I'm light, like in this way.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really like so spiritual to be really grounded and to be really
For
human.
sure, yeah, be really human and embodying all your essence, like expressing your anger, expressing like when someone makes you upset,
Yeah.
and like communicating that, you know, and that's like the most grounded spiritual human thing that we can all do.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that's super interesting. What are your thoughts about extraterrestrials and magic?
Ooh, such a fun question. I don't think anyone has ever asked me this. I'm actually the one who usually initiates this topic to other people. First of all, it's like one of my favorite things to talk about because it's fun to me. So my thoughts. Well, I definitely believe in extraterrestrials, even though I haven't had a personal experience with extraterrestrials. But it just feels true in my heart, and
It was not myself. It was I don't know.
Yeah, I watch a lot of things. There's this show on Gaia called Cosmic Disclosures, and it's super interesting about people working for different secret agencies who have these like secret projects where they explore different like extraterrestrial life that they like admit that they've experienced and had encounters with. And after watching that, I just feel these people speaking their truth, and it just feels so right. And also having a bunch of friends who share their firsthand experiences. So for me, it just makes sense because the universe is infinite, and the probability of there being life out there is so probable when you think of how many planets there are in the whole universe. So yeah, I believe in extraterrestrials, and I think that our society portrays them to be negative or scary or bad intentions, but I don't think that at all. I think that we all we all have connections to other beings out there, and they're just more advanced than us, but they're not harmful for the most part, most of them. And magic. I feel that life is magical, and I think that when we see things like Harry Potter, it really reveals a lot of truth behind it. Like, we're not all over here just waving our wands, but what we are doing is using
moving our penises. That's all I want to do. Random.
All right.
Sorry. It was not myself.
Anyways, yeah, we're using our words, and our words cast spells. If I say, I'm gonna go to Hawaii next year, and I'm gonna give this speech at this location at this time, and this many people are going. Like, I'm manifestation is a form of magic to me, because when we're using our words and our energy to speak things into existence, we're literally pulling that reality towards us. And I see it more as a quantum physics perspective, that when you're emitting a certain frequency, you're attracting that similar frequency. So whatever you embody is what you create. So if you want a certain lifestyle, you have to embody it. And to me, that is magic. Like, we have so much power within us, and we have so much influence of what we can create for ourselves. And that to me seems magical. So yeah, that's my take on it. All right, now your turn. Extraterrestrials and magic.
The same question.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for this beautiful question. It's a nice question. I feel like extraterrestrials are so fucking real, but not in the way, like, I see a lot of I don't know how to call it, but for the majority of people, movies are movies, but it's not true. Movies are showing us many real scenarios,
Deep truth.
Yeah. And I think one of the most beautiful teachings, I think it was from Aubrey Marcus regarding to Matthias De Stefano, is listening to your body. And I was feeling so many times when I was watching a movie, there is like a deep truth, and like it's not like only a movie. And there's like a lot like science fiction movies or fantasy movies where I felt this way. And in many ways, I experienced so much magic, like maybe beginning with magic, going through extraterrestrials. Like, I know a lot of people wouldn't believe me. And it was interesting, for example, after my ayahuasca experience, my first, I experienced things where I think in another setting, people would say maybe it's schizophrenia, or it's like a deep state of like mental illness or whatever. Psychosis.
Yeah.
But actually, that's the way how shamans are perceiving our reality, or realities in general. And I felt so connected to the spiritual world, so it was opening myself a lot to things like magic. And now it's more subtle. I'm super grateful that it's not so strong anymore like the first year from a few years ago. But it was so strong to experience magic, but at some point I almost got used to it. Like, oh wow, that's easy. Like what you said, like you need to embody something, so you're gonna attract it. You need to spell only the word out, and it becomes reality. And that's so deep. And I think there is like a verse in the Bible where they speak, where they say like, in the beginning was only the word, and the word was like creating. Yeah, only like also that, but like the word was creating our reality, and it's so deep. And yeah, I could say a lot about this, but maybe
Yeah.
coming to aliens, I feel maybe in many dream states I was connected to other beings, but especially like people think aliens could be like we as human beings, we perceive in a really limited way reality. It's not the true reality. There's so many like light spectrums or spectrums of light, and it's like a real science-based way to speak about it. There are many realities. There are many like spectrums of lights. There are many like from like there's a 1D reality, you could say, a 2D, a
Yeah.
3D, a 4D, and then it gets more spiritual, you could say, to 8th, 9th dimension or whatever. But to experience, you cannot expect that aliens are like us, 3D, and they live on a planet. Could be, maybe.
And that they're like these green things that like we have this like, you know, the movie E.T. We have this idea of what an alien looks like.
Yeah, and I think maybe there's also some truth. Like a lot of people were watching these kind of aliens, and movies were making fun of that. So I think there is some truth, like maybe the Greys or
Yeah, I was
people.
gonna say they're like the Greys, but
Yeah.
there are different forms of aliens
Yes,
that
so many.
look different. Yeah.
So many, and it's
Yeah.
it's really interesting. But one of my truths is that with a really high dose, depends how sensitive you are with psychedelic substances, you're absolutely able to visit other realities. And it's interesting because it's an experience where you really feel your own being, your own body is like our Earth is a body, our galaxy is a bigger body, and there's like a lot of bodies, a lot of bodies, and so also in your body, like we are one cell of a bigger body, but also in our body there are so many cells.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting experience to experience aliens with, for example, in this DMT world. And you don't really know if they're only appearing in your body, so you are going through your cells and these creatures are living inside of us, which is super crazy, or your frequency is raising to another frequency where you are able to step out of your body, to step out of the 3D reality, to go there. And I know, like I was reading books about it, really from scientists, people. I was listening, I like in this, when like I was talking to Adrian Rusby, and we were both like coming from a place where we never talked about this topic before, but in our talk, both of us were completely in resonance. And it's the same with Aubrey Marcus and Matthias De Stefano speaking about. It's like you go to spaces where extraterrestrial beings are, and they don't want you to have there with them. And in other dimensions, they want to operate you, they want to help you, they want to show you, they want to teach you something. And it's so fucking real.
Yeah.
It's a experience which is more real than this reality. And I know it sounds absolutely crazy, but maybe to stop here and to just give a reminder, we think we perceive we are living in one reality. It's what your father said, like there's one reality, there's nothing like a matrix or an illusion. But to see after years maybe of working with a psychologist, oh shit, I was building my reality coming from a trauma state. I was always attracting the same partners. Or maybe go to another state of, I don't know why I can't talk anymore to my wife. It's like we are on another frequency. Literally,
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah,
You are
yeah.
completely in another world. So it's not able to.
Yeah, like you can say something, but they won't be able to hear you.
Yeah.
Like literally,
And
because you're not resonating anymore on the same level.
exactly. And I know this kind of topic is so strange to speak about, because we can also speak about money topics, or like getting rich, or traveling, or other things. But this topic is like literally on another frequency, where I just can say aliens are not, I think, in the outside. Probably they are also there, but it's more like a telescope with psychedelics, and you can experience them inside, and it's a crazy experience.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I've yet to have that kind of experience on psychedelics. That's really interesting. And just one thing I want to add about magic, actually, is synchronicities and like seeing angel numbers and things like that. Because I feel like that's part of the magic that we experience in life, and it's so cool. Or even things like deja vu or dreaming, like all of that is very magical. And so, yeah, synchronicities basically is a chain of events that happen in your life that is like connected somehow. How would you explain the synchronicity? Like, let's say, for example, in this video, you were talking about plant medicine or something like that, and then you just looked and you read this thing about plant medicine. Like, that's a synchronicity. Or, like, let's say I'm talking about it's like a weird coincidence. I guess you could call it synchronicity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that it feels very magical. Like, it's a very spiritual experience when that happens, because it shows that yeah, there's some kind of message or something there. Yeah.
I think, like, coming from the word, it's really you are synchronized with like something else. So you're synchronized with the universe, I would say. And
Yeah, and the more synchronized you are to the universe, the more synchronicities you experience. Because I noticed I had more synchronicities happen in my life when I became more aware.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's like maybe like a topic with numbers, because sometimes they appear really, really strong in our awareness. And other times I saw like people want to create a story around that. So there's also many truths, I think, behind that. It's not like I saw a lot of people put prices like $555 or something like that. So they want to use these kind of energies, which is not bad, but it's like, where does it come from? And I feel like it's really interesting to just surrender. If something is like showing up and you feel like, wow, that's really like a universal sign to trust, for example, or like I'm feeling really connected now to the spiritual world, or whatever it's going up there. But in the same way, to not like, you can lose yourself in many ways.
For sure.
And find yourself in many ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there's this quote. How does it go? Sometimes you find yourself in the middle of nowhere, and sometimes in the middle of nowhere you find yourself.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
But yeah, I just want to ask you this question. For someone who's just starting their spiritual path, they're starting to have more awareness and they're wanting to connect to their spirituality, and maybe they just feel a little lost and confused on the first steps on like how to live, I guess you could say, like a life of higher awareness, or starting their spiritual path. What would you want to tell them?
First of all, I think it's nice to get out of any kind of pressure, for example, to not try to force you to anything. And I see like there is some kind of a trend. Oh, it's cool to do yoga. It's cool to drink ayahuasca. And I feel like that's absolutely, I think everything is happening for a reason, but it's absolutely not the goal
For sure.
to drink ayahuasca or something like that. But it's more about, like, for example, I know that ayahuasca, for example, is a powerful medicine, but it's not for everyone. And it has so much more benefit when you do your work before, when you worked maybe before with a psychologist, or when you did some inner work before. Then I feel like it has so much more benefit when it's really calling you. So it's not like I don't know if I really answer your question, but it's more about like get in contact with yourself and don't be afraid that oh, it's not ayahuasca, maybe it's going through to a therapy, or it's just like, I don't know, spending time observing yourself and other people.
For sure.
Like there are so many ways, and to be open just what life is presenting you. Maybe it's a call from something specific,
Yeah.
or it's like give yourself enough time and space for everything.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I would say the same thing, like becoming just more self-aware. So just being more aware of your thoughts and like, what are you thinking? And like journaling and writing down your thoughts and really reconnecting to yourself and like, oh, why did this trigger me? You know, where does that come from? And just being curious. I think curiosity is a great tool to use to go deeper on your spiritual path. And from that place, it'll guide you exactly where you need to be.
Yeah.
But I think we should wrap this up.
Yeah.
Any last things, are you sure?
Yeah, I just want to add, there's this cool song from Kid Cudi, "Curiosity is the key of my frequency." And I feel like curiosity is openness, and openness is expansion. Expansion is life. Life is movement. Life is love. So I feel like that's a nice ending.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This is a beautiful discussion.
Oh, ouch.
Peace out. Love and light.